There's lots of different kinds of warfare and interference that you may experience in dreams, and some of these you may have never even heard before. What's up? My name is Kaale. Welcome back to the channel. The dream world and spirit world are so closely connected. God uses dreams to communicate to us and to reveal what the enemy is doing that's affecting you currently, or plans that they have to affect you in the future. So in this video, I'm covering 6 different kinds of warfare or interference that you may encounter. So first is going to be animal attacks, or animals in general in your dreams. Animals we see often reveal the enemy's plans in progress, effects that they're having, or even aspirations that they have for your life. If you remember in past dream interpretation videos, I've said context is everything. I'm getting tired of saying it. So how these animals make you feel and what these animals are doing, if they're like their normal color, stuff like that, it's all going to make a big difference. I'm going to give you a list to take a look at, but I wanted to give you 2 examples. So first, I've had dreams, a lot of dreams, with bears hanging around my house. Bears famously invade campsites to steal people's food, right? So bears are often representing evil spirits that want something that you have. Remember, the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. I've had dreams involving snakes attacking me, which can have to do with lies, unforgiveness, bitterness. So upon waking, those are the things that I'm seeking God to ask him, like, am I feeding into a deception here? Or what have I come into agreement with like lies from the enemy? Or is there an offense that I'm holding on to? You know, that's the kind of stuff you want to look into. Now, in the context of warfare dreams, these are just some different animals or insects that you might encounter and their general meaning. So get ready to take a screenshot so you can reference it in the future as well. And I am just going to say, as that's coming on screen, that these are not like concrete, okay? If you're somebody who maybe you have a pet pig, or maybe you have a pet bird, or you have good interactions, like, you know, certain things have different connotations to you than what you're seeing, take that into account, because God's going to speak to you in your own language, how you see things. So keep that in mind and check out my other videos, because I have one that's on like 5 different keys to interpreting, which will give you the foundation so that you can accurately apply the things that I'm trying to show you in this video. The second type of warfare you may experience in a dream is being chased, specifically being chased and feeling negative emotions like fear, anxiety, stuff like that. Because context matters, these dreams could be positive. Maybe God's chasing you, maybe his goodness is chasing you, but I'm talking about being chased in the negative sense. These are dreams where you find yourself trying to hide from someone, or running without getting to stop. You know, being chased often reveals that the enemy is coming against your life or your destiny. If you're running without being able to stop, it could reveal that in real life, the enemy is trying to exhaust you spiritually. Number 3 is immobilized body parts. This one's pretty interesting. So I remember having a dream that someone was wanting to do surgery on my feet. And that's not good, as feet have to do with your walk or even your peace, right? You wear the gospel of peace on your feet. So my feet would have been immobilized. You could also have paralysis in a dream. Anything that hinders a body part from moving freely can symbolize or reveal a hindrance or a spiritual attack against that thing. So like issues with your eyes in a dream could have to do with spiritual vision. Issues with your fingers, which I've touched on in, I think, a short about your fingers, could have to do with the enemy trying to affect that part of your spiritual walk, right? Prophetic, evangelical, pastoral, teacher, apostolic, stuff like that. So moving on, number 4 is caterers, food caterers and poisons. Now, if you're like me, you probably just read that and you're like, what the heck is a food caterer? And all I can say is these are agents of the enemy that are tasked with presenting demonic poison to you in a dream in the form of food. Now, not all food is bad, but you'll need discernment for this again. And I am pretty on guard against enemy attacks on my mind during the day. So I usually get these attacks at night because I love food. So it can be hard for me to resist in a dream, but I do pray for the ability to resist them. It just doesn't always happen. So if you have a dream where you're eating, make sure to pay careful attention to what you're eating and maybe even from where. So for example, I ate a burger from Burger King and the dream was revealing I had an attitude of stubbornness. BK's slogan is have it your way, right? So pay attention to that kind of stuff when you wake up, come out of agreement with it. And along the lines of ingesting stuff, I also had a dream once that I was being shot with a neon green injection. Not good. I mean, the dream was dark and I didn't feel good. And when I woke up, I knew I needed to cancel those effects and ask the Lord to purge that stuff out of my spirit. And you can take it or leave it. If you don't think it's a thing, whatever. I'm just here to tell you what I have learned in my own life. And quick note, there are also what we will refer to as satanic spies. So have you ever found yourself giving your personal information to someone in a dream or filling out a form? These evil spirits' mission is to gather information on you. Another type of evil spirit you may encounter in your dream is a dream manipulator. So have you ever been in a dream and it was trending one way and then all of a sudden it turns perverse or twisted or dark all of a sudden? Those are dream manipulators. And I do want to correct a video that I had put out describing 3 different types of dreams that you can have, because I was talking about the source that it comes from. I was listing God-given dreams, soulless dreams, and demonic dreams. And I've come to realize I don't see demonic dreams in the Bible being given to people, but we know that the demonic can definitely affect your dreams. And this is where dream manipulators come in. So the information in that video is still good for figuring out if your dreams are in fact being manipulated. But I did want to bring clarity to that I don't think that they can give them to you. I think they just affect what is already going on. So some people may not even realize that this next dream is actually warfare, and that is sex dreams, as well as dreams of weddings, wedding garments, including wedding rings. If you've had dreams where you're being intimate with someone, this could be a soulless dream. It could also be caused by soul ties that you need to break. But more often than not, I found that these are what are called spirit spouses, or spirits that want to bring you back into agreement with them. So Apostle Issy Eganigma, I don't know if I said that right, I'll put her name here, explained it this way. I'm going to quote her because she said it so well. So the way sex works is sex in itself establishes covenant, right? And many times when a person is pulling themselves away from a demonic covenant in the physical, and you're breaking away from something that you realize is powered by the demonic, Satan gets scared. And one of the ways that he can pull you back into a cycle that you want to break is through sex. And many times it happens in the spirit realm. So, end quote. If you ask me, this makes perfect sense. So anytime that I've done specific prayer points against perversion, these attacks stopped happening. Now people say, well, that's just a dream, it doesn't matter. But she reminds us of the story of Solomon when he asked for God for wisdom in a dream, and we know God grants it. So anytime that you see wedding rings, or you're in a wedding garment, or you're getting married or sexually assaulted or seduced in a dream, I would take those very, very seriously and seek the Lord for how he would have you to pray against these attacks. If you kiss someone in a dream, it means that you're coming into agreement with something. So keep that in mind as well, and seek God for what he needs you to come out of agreement with. Number 6 is shooting or fighting. So the last one we're going to talk about is the most obvious warfare in dreams, like actually fighting. These dreams pull back the curtain on what the enemy is trying to do in your spiritual life. If you find yourself being shot at, pay attention to if you're taking bullets and where they're hitting. So for example, if you're shot on your left side, we know that has to do with your spiritual life. If you're being shot in the leg, it could have to do with your faith or your walk with Christ. It's important to note what tools are being used against you too. So knives, they can symbolize gossip, being stabbed in the back, or a brutal attack. Back in the day, I used to watch a lot of documentaries on murders, and anytime that they had a knife as like the murder weapon, they would note that it was a crime of passion. It was a brutal attack, So if you're holding the knife, then it can symbolize a form of protection. Swords, we know if we're holding it, it's the sword of the spirit, right? If the enemy's holding it, it could speak to the fact that swords reach further than knives, and they can also represent authority. This next one's very interesting. Darts, which are curses. So this is interesting about witches, by the way, because they do something called darting, which is speaking curses into their hands and then flinging them at you. Those are spiritual darts, curses, demonic attacks. If you look up on YouTube, witch tries to curse Bryce Crawford, I think it's that. It's really interesting because you actually see a witch going around him doing this, murmuring, and then like going like this behind his back. And he has no idea that it's happening, but it's an actual thing. So I thought that was very interesting. So they may not be doing this in a dream. Maybe it's a literal dart that you're seeing, right? So if you're throwing a dart, it could speak to accuracy, like the game of darts requires, right? And then if you're being choked, that speaks to something hindering or seeking to silence your voice. Guns are spiritual authority, whether good or bad. I've had dreams where my own gunshots that I'm shooting were ineffective, and that signaled to me that I needed guidance from the Holy Spirit to help me pray against the enemy effectively. So anytime that you see a weapon like a bazooka or a grenade or any other kind of weapon that I haven't mentioned here, you want to distill it down to its most basic function. So like with the grenade, I'm thinking like mass destruction, short amount of time, short distance, things like that. It's going to help you to understand what kind of attack you're looking at. So look at their function in the natural and ask the Lord to reveal to you what he wants you to know. So I have a video, again, I'll say it again, on 5 keys to dream interpretation that may help you further if you want to check that out. So that's all I have for you. I hope that this shed some light on warfare that you may experience in dreams. Okay, catch you guys in the next one. Bye.